Catherine, Princess of Wales, did not arrive with a fully formed identity. In the early days of her royal life, every appearance carried the weight of expectation, every choice observed and dissected. And yet, even then, there were subtle indications of a system forming beneath the surface. It began not with extravagance, but with restraint. In 2011, on a polo field in Santa Barbara, she appeared in a silk dress that quietly introduced what would become her defining language. The fabric held its shape, structured yet gentle, allowing movement without surrendering control. The floral motifs were understated, almost whispering rather than speaking, and the silhouette framed her presence without overwhelming it. This was not simply a dress. It was an early blueprint. Even at this stage, the message was clear. Softness, when constructed with precision, becomes something far more powerful than ornamentation. By 2012, that foundation began to evolve into something more fluid, more responsive. During her visit to Singapore, Catherine embraced chiffon, allowing fabric to move with air and motion rather than resist it. The shift was deliberate. Where structure once dominated, now there was balance. The floral patterns softened into watercolor impressions, diffused and almost atmospheric, creating a sense of ease without losing refinement. Yet this was not a departure from discipline. At a state dinner on the same tour, she appeared in a design that reintroduced control, this time sharper, more intentional. The florals were no longer passive. They were placed with purpose, guiding the eye, reinforcing presence. In this contrast, a realization emerged. Flowers could do more than soften. They could direct, define, and even assert. By 2014, the transformation was unmistakable. Catherine's approach had matured into precision. A striking example came during her tour of Australia and New Zealand, where bold floral prints were no longer decorative but architectural. The patterns were vivid, sharply defined against structured silhouettes that echoed the discipline of tailoring. Necklines framed the body with geometry, sleeves balanced proportion, and every seam contributed to a controlled, deliberate outcome. Nothing was accidental. Even in motion, the garments held their ground, resisting the chaos of environment and wind. Accessories followed the same philosophy, refined, minimal, supportive rather than distracting. At this point, florals had crossed a threshold. They were no longer symbols of delicacy. They had become instruments of authority. In 2015, a quieter shift took place, one that introduced emotional depth into this carefully constructed system. Following the birth of Princess Charlotte, Catherine appeared in a soft floral dress that resonated far beyond its simplicity. The fabric draped gently, the print restrained and evenly spaced, offering calm rather than spectacle. The silhouette adapted subtly, acknowledging the moment without abandoning form. It was a study in balance, personal and public, intimate and ceremonial. Around the same time, floral elements began to integrate into garments in more discreet ways. Patterns were woven rather than printed, visible only upon closer inspection. This marked refinement, a move towards subtlety where impact no longer depended on visibility. Texture, layering, and material choices in the years that followed added depth, allowing garments to interact with light and movement in increasingly complex ways while remaining grounded in discipline. By the time the world shifted in 2020, Catherine's use of florals had reached its fullest expression. No longer confined to aesthetics, her choices became emotional signals: calm, reassurance, resilience. Fabrics softened further, silhouettes remained composed, and every detail served a purpose beyond appearance. Whether through fluid silk, structured pleats, or tactile textures, each piece responded to its moment with quiet intelligence. Looking across the years, a pattern becomes undeniable. This was never about fashion alone. It was about communication without words. Designers were chosen not for trend, but for their ability to maintain structure within softness. Prints were selected for control, never excess. And through it all, Catherine achieved something rare. She transformed gentleness into a form of strength, not by abandoning femininity, but by refining it, shaping it, and ultimately mastering it.